But the question that I want to pose to Silver Slayer is, can you imagine a world with infinite silver?
I can't imagine it, but honestly, like the way we're advancing technologically, I couldn't say it's not possible. I mean, look how far we've came in just 2 decades technologically. Like we are advancing so fast that I wouldn't be surprised if space mining happens within the next decade.
Exactly. Now, so it's so interesting you mentioned space mining because we've talked a lot about space mining with the idea of it increasing supply of silver, whereas right now there might be a bit of a shortage. And one of the things that we're going to have to be looking at in the future is, well, we're going to need a large supply of metals, minerals, especially as we go towards more of a expanded energy, say greener economy. And the thing that a lot of people may not be aware of right now, it's kind of been happening in the background, but there's this idea that we will soon be able to have infinite silver and infinite energy. So obviously we have fossil fuels. People have talked a lot about batteries and so on and so forth. And some people might be aware of nuclear fusion reactors, or fission, I should say, reactors. But what we have not done yet is recreate what the sun does in our solar system. And that's something that a lot of us, or a lot of people in the scientific community, have been trying to veer towards, which is, can we recreate the processes of energy creation that the sun does, which is called nuclear fusion? The knock-on effects of that is this ability to create elements. Now, many of you guys know that silver, gold, they are elements.
Yeah.
And what happens in the sun, I'm not going to get into it too much until we start digging into this article over here. But pretty much what happens is there's a bunch of protons. And actually, speaking of which, I have some notes right here that I'm going to use to go over this, because obviously I'm not a scientist. So I had to write all this down because there's a lot here as far as what this could possibly mean for infinite silver. But here's the thing. The sun creates energy through a process called nuclear fusion. That's point number one. Point number two, hydrogen protons slam into each other and fuse together. And when they fuse, they create helium, which is another element. So what I'm basically saying is one element is creating another element within this process. And in the process, they release energy. This is what a lot of people want to do. They want to basically create this process on Earth so we can have infinite energy. Next point, you may be wondering, so can we create this process here on Earth by using the same plasma that's inside the sun and apply it here on Earth? Now, there's a company right now called Commonwealth Fusion Systems, and they've been experimenting with this. There's also this thing in the south of France called ITER, which is a system that's going to demonstrate the ability of nuclear fusion, and they will start their production in 2025. They've been building it for many years now. And if it works, the implications are that we may be able to have plasma fusion and create this abundant energy source. And the knock-on effects is that we'll be able to create elements.
Yeah.
And now it's not to say that in 20 or by 2025 we'll be just creating elements left and right.
Yeah.
The idea is that maybe 100 years down the road, maybe 200 years down the road,
I think it might be quicker than that. Like,
you never know.
Because think 100 years back, like how we advance pretty fast nowadays. So
exactly. And the whole idea is that these lighter weight elements are fusing together and they're creating these heavier weight elements. to the point where sometime in the future, some are positing that we'll be able to create heavier elements, i.e. silver, maybe some of the rare earth metals that are going to be needed for the green economy. Some are saying phosphorus, which is needed for agriculture. And this will all be done by using a minimal input to get maximal output. And so far, we haven't achieved that yet with nuclear fusion. Pretty much the output that we get in energy is equal to or is less than the amount of energy that's put into it. And the idea is to do the opposite: less input, more output.